Prayers before teachings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. Through this of listening to the Dharma and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. Through deeds of listening to the Dharma and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. Through deeds of listening to the Dharma and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, request to turn the wheel of Dharma, request not to manifest Nirvana, I dedicate the merit thus created to all sentient beings. This ground is anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, four continents, sun and moon. Visualizing as a Buddha feel, I offer it so that all beings may enjoy this pure rhyme. Idam Guru Rana Mandala Kanyaryatayami. I request you, exalted venerable gurus, who have gathered a class of wisdom and compassion in the space of Dharmakaya. In accordance with the needs of a few of the disciples, let the rain of the vast and profound Dharma thereby fall. Okay, over to you, Gisela. Thank you.
Kela Guzuna, Kela.
So, yeah. Da yin lunga ye zang long chu tu song gen song che ri chen men zhe zang bo kyun song che be zo lo ye lang lian da ma ye dang dun zhao song lang be da jiang ge gen nan da la chen che lo no se sa ye be chen sheng ye men do nang zhe rao le ye nen de jiao ba ne sang che gen do men de me ru ge na la yin de jiao ba shuo ye dang go ra zhang da men zhe lang ni ya da ya me 강也在这上也这了呢，上去叫到出去叫那了，讲究把那那你叫大爷去这边找那想找那边上去，上去叫到出去叫那了，讲究把那那年小从前大爷去这边找，找那边上去找啊叫上去叫出去叫那了。上周报道，那年小从前大爷去这边找那，找那边上去找把说，刚也在这上呢，这那年面到这当。하제 니제 다 내가 너무 요즘에 봐서 사와 내가 너나 강이 나 강제래 내배 저도 이게 반제와 강이 봐 다 다제 다바 담배 고지 투비 손에 신는데 얘 나다나 매담에 어제요 뭐 자진하라서 추추쇼라 샤와시 바나 상제 선바로도 얘인데 이조저 내가 계제 담배 추니치는 되게 걔한테 자지게는 저서 비대죠 대셔만도 저도 되게 교와에 대해서 빈내자 견다 저도 야마 안 받아내 레바들라 투비 손에 제 담배 걔는 주 이쯤에 나도 소식이 전화 저기 존에 살아 저제 컨텐츠는 이제 그제 나 이제 다 내가 봐야니 게 세와 잡아 임베 되나야 나 세와 존데 나제 상제선도 시와나 들어도 내가 사이리 나마다 얘기하다가 단지가 저거다다미 견나나 저와 견제 전나지 안제게도 다게 최대 또 돈이 이제서 돈저가 체제선대 강제 된지 괜찮아 보면 된지 저 소원돼서 얘는 조쇼 올라서 왔다 단들이 추풍 제체제 동그 저자 마창하면 봐 되봐 진이 조지 배나 아테샤 게다 공바게 다 주타보 장가라마 송가바 쳔비 당하게 제보 아니 상추 랑주 림바 세와타테 다 해바 코소파리 다 대답이 상추 랑진데 해바라 되니 다대 죄자 때려야 셔보 총옥 주고 셔본적이 주고 셔보 준비 주고 세송 다 단다 코소파바 때려야 되니 셔보 총옥이 주고래야 되니 렌제 삼바 세와타 때려 다대 렌제 세와 때려야 되니 까보게 쇼게 렌제 세지 미기 쇼게 렌제 세치니리 다 미기 쇼게 레탄 줄레탄 제버 때려야 되니 메기 추초 주비니 데바테소 메기 주 메기 와자 데 제버 때려야 아니 두셔테 냐와 이다 돈주 된저기 잡고 싶어 안도 뒤나타 센터다 샤마 카디나야 랑레 동해게 이도모와 동해 종와 동해 탕체 아니 어다 미기 긴저보 어디 차디오레스 되니 기기 쇼가다 겨와초 같이 겨와초 내가 나게 되니 남아상지비 라바송게 나래 어디서 겨와치 다 디인저보 telle야 네컬이야 대와 아니 타투리에 대와 타투 타바타 탄치 거바 도바 다 텐데기 아니 준데게 림바니 다 텐데기 돈에 다 가면 매겨 줄때서 마히에네 다 티니 죄자 거서 바바텔이야 아니 겨와 좀 매겨 주셔네 상님 조도 샤이 줄라스 다 디피겐 제보 디피겐 오 어따비 게게 겨와 경오 게이겐 제보 어따 때서 상네 돈 아니 조도 샤이 줄라 셰템바다 차바 또게 장 줄로 세타 텐라카 다 텐데 예데 땅아란소 미기 이게 레다 예나다 겨와 예나다 때서 랑긴기 자이바 예나 코 요요 바레스 카디 예나 전 데부티 투용 그레스 텐데 손상 테니 다 준제기 텐데 테나스 텐데 레스 텐데 레니 조탄 데부체발라 녜바시지스 테나 텐데 게이기 조 겨와 데부 게 대와 메겨와 메기 데부 동해 텐데기 다 텐데 님도 잠부기 쇼기 지 녜바기 쇼기 티 조탄 데부 텐레야 아니 제 상내 또 퇴상 제네 아니 생게 띠니 양에 해셔 괜지 제거래서 어때리 니체크도 고송라 또바 힌게스 년주 주제스 텐데 전에 렌드게 나자게 토래야 상내 돈에 렌드 주송 야부제 렌드 주송 제사데 가르사나 아니 디바트서 파빵 아니 디바 빵네 아니 겨와트서 두 어텐데 제바이나 아니 소수게 룡아 예송게 고송라 야 잡아체네 아 미겨와데 파빵요데 아니 제마 년주 게 고데 파 까이레스 년주 미샤서 그레스 텐데 매바체네 토마 준리치 나야라 메케히 중세 회장 고수 방야순 주바네스 민중 관제바 관나데스 토마리아 준리치 나야 chen 하모고 기시 때제 해바 이나야 제 아니 소소 나네 메지아체네 아니 류게 가 테데 파체 생게 강 테데 파체 다 증하게 강 테데 파체 아니 이게 야 나도 녀바 장장 텐데 제바이나 강조 마주 녀모 강도 룡아 예수 파땅바이나 바야순 주바네 데니 녀와 예다 튜르게 고시야데 제바르사 다 고샤나 텐만 줄그라 인두 관제바 관나데스 다디 조텐 텔레안도 자수 슈비긴도리아 루이저 다보 루이저보 자수세야 되게 존된데레 슈인도들이 루이 다보 상주 선바나 최지게 년조 년송의 로바 동아시아 양다바 쥐도 최지부 강셔나 어디 루이 다보서 루이저 자수르마 라우르 존된데 루이 다보 저런에 쇼아스 상주 선바 대수게 최지 나서라네 년송 내와 여다 된저게 로바 동이기 셔와 타치게 고체 유레스 고마시 까투레스 다 되게 답이 고체 까투케게 추다 가르르산 추치기 고까투게요나 추치의 가르르산나 추치부터 강셔나 데다테 다체타 추치 네체난 다힌도 나도 기초나라 소소 도바디 해수미시 다 소소 네 따도 뒤따도야 랑게 간드 쇼파 간드 체긴도 아니 산이야 간드 체긴도 류게 나온조 간드 체긴도 나게 가리 체긴도 생게 간드 체테 상 따체체네 아니 메기 쇼 샤와치에서 때 바카도 카도 바까 아니 게 쇼게 상니 또서 양니야도 시주 된레체 제바이나 왔다 되게니 년주 교과 당치 제투를 해서 될 양다바주 다체 제타 주지 니체난다 힌두 나 게이초나 소소토바 히서 겨와주와 초레야 상정정던 미겨데 바카 데레 제바이나 아니 미기 미송 교과데 간데레서 히송 비쇼로 왔다 디바 지주
Nasogila, ni sungi konam kadara. This way. Okay, so Gishla just started his class. So Gishla has started the class, and he started with saying that the all the 84,000 teaching of the Buddhas, the teaching of the 84,000 Buddha, which all this was accumulated and taught by the Lama Atishas and Lama Atishas, and Lama Atisha's thought was all those thought was written by the Lama Tsongkhapa in his Lamrim through the three subjects, which are the scope of the middle person, scope of the smaller person, scope of the middle person, and scope of the supreme person or higher person. From these three subjects, all the Lama Atisha thought and the 84,000 teachings of Buddhas was written, shown by the Lama Tsongkhapa in his Lamrim text. So currently, from the Lamrim text section, we have reached at the section of the karma and its effect. So in terms of karma and its effect, the concept of it comes is about the 10 virtuous karma and 10 non-virtuous karma. So when we are talking about 10 virtuous and 10 non-virtuous karma, in terms of non-virtuous karma, this concept of the cause and effect will come out. What is the cause and due to the non-virtuous karma? So if a person does a non-virtuous karma, he will either attain a rebirth as a health or hungry ghost or as an animal. Or beside that, even that if a person performs some non-virtuous karma, not only he will take rebirth as that, and he also in the next life or also in this life he has to face a suffering too, because the sufferings are the result of the non-virtuous karma. And in terms of the virtuous karma, if a person perform a virtuous karma, so what it will happens is he will either born as a god or human realms, and also beside that also he will able to practice the three principles ones, which are like in terms of meditations, in terms of wisdom, in terms of the discipline. So three principles he can practice. And also beside that, if he practice a 10 virtuous karma, 10 virtuous, then it also lead him to get not only the temporary happiness but also the ultimate happiness. In terms of it also lead to the path to the temporary and both ultimate happiness in terms of attaining the enlightenment. So here it is mentioned about the cause and effect system, cause and effect process of the karmas in action, where the karmas are the cause and which lead to the effect. So and beside that, in terms of the concept of sufferings and in terms of the concept of non-virtuous or sinful action, the causes effects are mentioned. And beside that, there's in this section also the concept of what are what does the non-virtuous karmas means. It is also defined, and in terms of the definition, it is also mentioned regarding the concept of the how you can engage in virtuous and turn away non-virtuous after you have reflected on karmas and its effect in general and detail. So that the current section is about the concept of in general and detail. So in terms of the in general and detail, the Geshe-la is current section giving teaching. So so it is such that if an individual person is able to think properly on the concept of karma and its effect, then the individual will able to eliminate or refute doing any activities related to the non-virtuous state. And if he doesn't do any non-virtuous state, then he will not able to born again and again in a lower realms, such as animals or hungry ghosts or hell. So so it is here in the mention that I think last section we have just stopped at in the scope of the conqueror. I think that we will place at the so last section I think we just and you have to just okay. So okay, so therefore the developer, it is within the scope of the conqueror here. So therefore develop a certain knowledge of dependent or arising together with the causality of two kinds of karma. Examine your physical, verbal, mental action all days and night. By this means you will put an end to miserable rebirth. However, if at the outset you were not versed in a classification of cause and effect, understanding only the fragment of their depth and having a lax attitude with your physical, verbal, and mental action, then you are merely throwing open to the door to the miserable realm. So here Geshe-la mentioned that Geshe-la have given the concept that uh, okay. If a person was distracted or if person was not in a conscious like conscious state, and if a person is continuously in a distracted way and not taking seriously about the concept of virtuous actions in terms of physical, verbal, and mental action, if he is not taking, then it will lead him to the lower realms. So it is like the first cause or the first door, the door to the leading to the lower rim is in terms of the distraction, in terms of the concept of the not examining, and however like you are like in terms of you are distracting from the concept of distracting and not giving concentration on what are the causes lead to the miserable dream. So if one is not able to give a proper focus or proper thought on the what are the causes which lead to the what are the cause and effect which lead to the causes which lead to the which lead the individual to the lower or miserable dream, then it is a cause, or it is a starting points for one to do a non-virtuous deed which lead him or her to the miserable dream. So it is mentioned by the Buddha for questions of the Naga kings or ocean state, which is in a sutra. It is sutra where it is like the king of the Nagas. He asked that for king of the Naga, Lord of Naga, single practice of Buddhist. The Buddha has said that the Buddha have taught the king of Naga that Lord of Naga, a single practice of Bodhisattvas correctly put a stop to the rebirth in miserable dream. So it is said that even you act a single actions of Bodhisattva or a compassionate mind person, a single action of compassionate mind person will able to stop oneself to taking the miserable dream. So when it was said that the question arises, what is that single practice or single dharma which you are talking? So kindly turn the page. I think the next page, or you have to. Okay, what is that single practice or single dharma which lead one to not to take birth in miserable dream? What is it? So the answer is, it is a discernment of what is virtuous. You must think, am I true? Am I being true? How am I spending the day and night? So it is in terms of regarding that what are the yeah, okay. So it is regarding about analyzing yourself, like what are the virtuous. You have to think about what are the good things. You have to concentrate on the virtuous deed and analyze on it and think about it, and then and in terms of it, you should refute doing. You should object yourself from doing the non-virtuous deed and not doing any of these things non-virtuous, and try to then try to analyze and do on and analyze yourself analyze on your actions, yourself and your actions, and then to know like what are the virtuous things you have to do and what are the and stop the non-virtuous things you have to do, not doing non-virtuous things. Then it will, if you stop doing non-virtuous things, then it will help you to not, it will not open the door towards the miserable rain, and the door to the miserable rain will be stopped. Lawangila Tsasu.
Lasso. Yata Jula Tabanas, Komano Chishenes, Tatende, Sosu Julema, Hinjuche, Tache Yundu, ne kadambe ge hene te karson war sa koma na hene le jendre je kom der chota tumba na yematis le jendre ge kom der ya chota ba tumba ina ane chene le jendre ge na ye soso ge sungo pango te so de chene mitu ge chanderes de o ge shups tene tendre chota mitu ba chaso na ngara so no chare es shups da no bitar tena ye metas tendre no chaso na ngara so kwali ya tatu mares Lendre to tune, tuno mitu tawa yin se otere. Ota lendre tang tune ni tun tang mitu tagore se le jendre tang ni sosu ki sen nimbo te tungin doa tungin mo te tagore se. Chue ge sosu jule ya shoda che ne, sosu jule ya chue kanda che tu de nane kanda che tu shoda che tamba yin na. Tendre ge lendre je ya che ne tayon de chue de tumba, chue ne tumba ye me ma tumba la se. He tabane teta riju hishunda kebaide. Ya tanga le junde yija jeneni sen ma shoda to ya ta choda tumba der shumodo de shumodo de shumot sansa segi tene hakkosun bayina. Denriche ton tuke shonsona kebat tsigeres. Te ani tsonle dole. Sheba kan sheba sheba te kebas ta ya tanga de no sha de rimundo sansa denre rituna ton tuna ani keba yin so hesons. Chöta dünsana rokkovata jonyo to son alas. Chöta sosu seneda chöni de duyundu rock is a rock give a jolo could so don't part the road capate and give a touch. Tender the chut of Mituba tender Jossum by John here to Swala and tender get chut of Mituba tender Chasona and not sure by ins, not sure by checking on Tambu ins, and they keep on Tambu ins. 最近养殖什么？最把养殖一些呢？人呢，西皮他切的，这都是的是，全把马的什么锻炼，锻炼开把马的，全把马的，最把马的他切的，从来西把刚些开什么，真的西把解决的，西把刚才等着给俺开把一站呢，这开把马的西把说出去，他们把的说，先送的，他呢去了，先也送一送我，马他来去了呀，去一家真的说出菜了呀，那。新主接受是三个来军的干的送运都送运嘛，都吃的听不接应的接应嘛，对引起民呢大家这个人说，但那因高东边这些报道啊，然后小肉今天长住了大个吧，也得小肉个菜，的嘛空长的呢，让说三了呀，让说了呀，新主接个吧，些这些月是，这些多，南卡当年318人。家去怕人出来，当样人，像侬年纪热哇，第一人，派到当兵去这第一人先说的是，但南卡的3年的亚马他人不有人是，家去给帕卡的家去给出来你的别他人不认识，下说到农说年纪人你的他人不有人是。但那一个俺让做没陪吧，陪吧啥的3句牛毛不讲的，给他陪吧人。去那么大把钱看的刚才去了，等你要别他人不要的是，陪吧的当兵去先看你的，别他人不要的，第一些说，陪吧让家当去你别得当这事，但俺让做陪吧当去你的他人不强调的是，把那让全部要把说，把那他人不要的是，最简单的上山大爷，上山联系去，先去往去了，上东边的浪边去说是，但的。南卡他呢，318人，家最怕的出来当样人，像侬你就知道第一人，拍起当比如第一人上顶着气的，多个气的是，多个人要是多了呀，想去上班大一个，你长时联系现在就了，长时间大爷，长时联系去青蛙去拉是，长时你他这么长时去做拍，那确让人年把西不去可以是。老多，这老的上山大话是不兔年的，那快了呀，赛爬上东山节票呢，这要票的呢，等着长时这个当的气的，错快了年把摘的是错，那么我等多个气的，上东票呢，浪费给缺起的也是，我缺的早前不认识，他吊龙比现在讲，这些吊龙吧，高东比现在这些吊龙吧是叫的。多些百姓给打呢，热些了，这个包了打完的，去到街里送行送完是，这些都能被送用的。说说大街也不这些看这个叔叔参举来大街街吧呢，那个去这个时候的俺们做古巴呀，人家去呢，不要呢他打的这个他打古巴去，古巴做日说多包了那来这个老这个。这个日包了那个的，对嘛？我包了当时的嘛，啥的嘛，人说的是，但人嘛，写不进这个了。他人是人着了，我他听那也就是大家也不借用的，所属三当全年不得，你这个他了嘛人嘛人啊那三当全年他人着啥时候的，送我是，但大上年讲那些人，真正要让距离所属大家接呢。你学了多比催眠是，得把没叫啊，把帮过来也是，两把比给了更多了呀。结不出呢，所求满在其实，但两把比了两多呢，长的那个结不出让我所求满其实，小给了说的绕都胖子，3000不着嘛，人家3000岁呢，早切血哪个切血的让说的也是。但这的这个说起来，那可能个早切血的没法做的，得把媳妇有的是，但有的才从村的已经过说就没什么些说不大是，但这因着有人不的才人不当说的。有人才从村的不是，说才人不当，难没把当，你眼里呀，送手也不对吧？那 네 생게 띵 이지 고랑 소초면서 생게 띵의 연례 뇌비 샤와도 소초의 상내 전에 코마 주스 소초의 상내 소초 방구레스 예송바다 메겨와 줬다 데 소초도 소가다 소초바다 마진발바 로예 죄다 차마다 치수다 나체 때 당체만 자거라 당체 생게 띵의 전체야마 생 상바 상체야마 파방구레스 메겨와 줬다 예양 하셰비 카나마토와 나라사 다 메겨와 줬다 대던제게 대파 용조 교홍가 삼바장 교홍 산에 잠바장 제요마스 메조아 동세교 대서 바까네 르가 생게 미겨 같이 동세교도 내 제기미 소 제기미 롱이 제기미 마지바 나오기미 주 로기미 참아 제기미 치수 제기 치수 로기미 나치 제기미 상상 나세 너세 로다 제기미서 생게 동세 제기미 제기미서 동세 다때 공바샤스 공바사 대리 자마인바 노니 자마 네마 칠레 테마 몽바상 소니야서 노니야서 근데 네마 몽바상탈 로야 공로 공바시 그래서 레모드 샤오사 다때 테마 몽바상 그래서 대다 니셰레 말로나 동해면도 예토 노거지 텐데게 미기 샤왈이야 도마투나 네 미기 샤왈 바주스나 아니 동해때 맞춰 문데나야 랑근 고토레 동해 농거스 동해 레고스 no good the condition of metabesher gaban drana and tasaji yomares dume tele tatu mares or the deep at the chichuna
Last, okay, last. Okay, so here the Kishila has mentioned that. Okay, so okay, so here the this Kwagila okay. Also, beside that, when the former gurus in the lineage has examined their minds in that way. So, when you have to examine yourself, it means like examining your mind, whether your mind is practicing the virtuous or non-virtuous state, and this is so. In the former gurus, former Tibetan or high lama, high gurus, they have mentions about examining their mind in this way, that they said, on the occasion of training of karmas and effect, when you compare our actions of body, speech, and mind in to what to mind to what is taught in the teaching, they will not be in conformity. In this we are deficient. Therefore, we are not at all liberated. We must see whether we are in a conformity or not by comparing ourselves to the law of karmas and effect. When we examine our mind in the light of teachings, we are wise if we are sincerely recognize non-conformity and conformity, complete lack of conformity. So here it is mentioned that we have to analyze, or we have to think properly or think wisely on the concept of karmas in action, and try not to do try not okay no. Okay, so we have to think and okay this quite good. Lu ke bo ji tan do sa ra ki la lu ke bo di thank you ra.
and that's it
Oh,
that's it
doctor. Oh, okay. So, you have to think wisely on your karmas and if effect, and how this karmas and effect and it's relevant with its dharma. So here again, following in the collective of the indicative verse, when it is kila chom di sangki ki suri ra kila.
Rich.
Okay, which is mentioned by the Buddha, that collective indicative verse. It is said, those who are childish and know themselves to be childish are wise in this regard. And when we are comparing with the teachings, and it can be carried like a crops, we are at odds with the teaching. When you hope to be best of the religious person, the rewarded scholar, you are being the worst of the childish. So here, whenever we do something which is not according to with our dharma, when we are not according to our practices, when we are doing something which is not going together through our dharma or religion, then it will continuously lead you oneself to the roaming in the samsara again. One will take rebirth again back to the samsara, and so Okay, so and also beside that, one individual has to analyze his mind and analyze that whether your individual mind is going according or it is practicing or it is functioning according to the concept of karmas and exactly how your mind is functioning and how whether the actions of the mind, what are its effects are really effects is coming after the actions of mind, whether it is going according to the concept theory of karmas and effect. You have to practice, you have to think about it and analyze. Okay, and also beside that, one individual has to consider or think analyze on individual their own practices when they are doing some practices or when they are practicing on the theory of karma. They have to analyze themselves. So this means that it is important to analyze the one's individual mind. If you are not analyzing your own mind, then it is very difficult. If you can't able to tame your mind, then it is difficult for you to practice the anything. Then it will leave you to the lower realms. So okay, so it is here mentioned that if a one is practicing not according to dharmas, for example, like a dead body, when comparing ourselves with the teaching, it can be like a carrying a crops or a dead body. We are at the odd end with the teaching. So so it is mentioned that gila 풍부디 키도라 아니 풍부기 고다 파키에디 독초래라라 gila sura.
다 알아서 맥이 펌부 기바 소수 기바 절로 거바이나 아니 동도 파텐 코그마 또 뭐가 알아서 뭐 쳤대 거야 뭐 좋거든.
Okay. So, it is that when a person taking a corpse or a dead body, we are not we are not facing with the dead body, like we are not facing we are not doing. We have to show our back to the dead body when we are carrying the dead body. We are not like face to face. We are not having face to face with the dead body, because to carry the dead body, you have to carry that on the shoulder, that your face is on the opposite direction of the dead body. So this means that it also shows that similar like that when you that some the individuals are not, when you are not practicing it, then you are also when you are not practicing or you are not practicing, then you are also being far from your teachings or far from your teaching. And it is also said like sometimes the people say like I'm a practitioner. People will say like I'm doing my practice, I'm doing my religious practice, I'm like this and that. But when you are not doing it in a in a real practice, when you are not applying any practice in your real individual life, then it is similar to the dead body, because you are not applying the teaching in your life, and but you are saying that I'm doing this and that, but you are not applying in a real life. So when we hope for the best of religious person or reward, where you are doing the worst of the childish, so even you are saying like that, but you are not doing where you are not practicing in a life, so you are like you are who are like childish in a worse situation. So you are you are just creating distance from the teachings, so you are creating a distance from the religion. So it is that so it is important to at least you have to analyze your mind, that whether your practices, whether you are doing a dharma or not, whether you are doing your practices or not. You have to examine yourself accordingly and examine through the teachings according to the teaching. So also it is shared by the Geshe Potowa, a Tibetan scholar, who quoted in his teaching as which is also this quote is also seen in the Buddha's garland of the Buddha story, which is also asserted it is also asserted in the garlands of the Buddha that okay, as it as you to how you to that one individual should examine your mind, as it is said in the garlands of the Buddha story, that from the sky to the earth is a long way, and from distant shore to the shore of the ocean to the closest it is also a long way. From the mountains of the east to the mountains of west is even a longer way, and but from ordinary person to the sublime teacher is longer than yet that. So here it is shown the examples of the how the sky and the distance from the huge distance between the sky and earth, distance from the closest edge a long way, and from the east mountain to the west, and all like this way. So even it is a very long way. The concept of ordinary people. So Kishla mentioned that what is the ordinary people means. Ordinary people means those people who are full with the afflictions, who are like controlled by the afflictions, who are whose minds is controlled or ruled by the affliction. So the ordinary people and those sublime art teachings is also like very distant. When you are like controlled by the affliction, you can't able to practice well. So it is like you are distant from the teaching. So you are distant from the dharma. So it is mentioned, and this was said that a great gulf exists between us, ordinary people, and so there's a huge distance or huge distance or huge difference exists. Huge distance exists between the ordinary people and the sublime teachings. So the verse is a teaching is a great gift. This verse is a teaching that the gift bearing Brahmin Supashita explained in a Bodhisattva Prince Chandra after the prince had offered 1,000 gold coin to him. So here it is like this teaching. The verses was mentioned during when the session was a Bodhisattva prince. He has saying the Brahmin Supashita, he have offered the Brahmin Supashita with 1,000 gold coin. So this is when he was offering this, the teaching with these verses, the teaching was shown. So, and moreover, the continues in a Dolungpa has mentioned that if someone who knew how to examine our mind stream were to do so, that person who soon finds something, and that had gone quite kindly turn the page. Far from teaching, and is like sending a ball thread down to the steep incline. So it is Tolungpa has also mentioned that when a ball of thread was fall down on the steep, it will go continuously. The ball will fall continuously without stopping. It will go down. So it is like the ordinary people and the difference of the ordinary people, and which also show that when our minds are distracted and our minds are not focusing on the dharma or religion, then our minds are also going far from the teaching. So it is like minds of the ordinary people who are totally controlled by the afflicted emotions. So their minds are also they are far from the teaching, like a ball of thread is far from the top of the mountain. So it is like this. And so okay, so it is though it's mentioned that furthermore when you are okay, so it is mentioned that it is though it is mentioned that one individuals have to analyze their mind well, one individual have to analyze that, and for so that one ordinary people to not to get far away from the ordinary with the full of affliction, not to get far away from the religion or teaching from the dharma practice. What we have to one individual have to do is one individual shouldn't do non-virtuous action and should exempt that from doing any non-virtuous action. So it is like even when you are thinking about like you should restrain yourself from thinking about the non-virtuous action. So furthermore, when you how you turn away from wrongdoing once you reflected in this way is stated in chapter of Truth Speaker. So the O king, do not kill. Life is dear to all beings. Hence they want to maintain their life for a long time. So think not of killing even in the depth of our mind. So not to it shows that how you should restrain yourself. Apply this attitude to restrain to non-virtuous action as well as the mind misdeed previously explained. Do this with do so without even giving rise to motivate. Become accustomed to this attitude and use it frequently. So here it is mentioned that so even a single thought of our non-virtuous state arise. Try not to do the inner action. Try not to perform the action, and even it is a single thought arise but not perform the action, and also like also try to not to arise those thoughts of doing non-virtuous action. And when you are trying to do it, firstly you should motivate yourself not to do those no, try to motivate yourself not to do those non-virtuous actions. And also like when slowly you try to accustom yourself not to do those and carry the attitude of not doing non-virtuous day. And then if you have accustomed again and again, then you will slowly try to gain a habit of not doing non-virtuous action. So if you do not if you do not able to do naturally, and if you do not able to do if you do not do any non-virtuous action, then naturally suffering will not arise in you. The suffering will be started to cease, and you will not born in a lower realms, and also you will not born in a lower realm. But if you do not able to stop doing non-virtuous thing, then naturally the suffering will arise on you, and then you will able to you will be distant yourself from the concept of the attainment of enlightenment. Now, Gila, Chasu.
last one. Diishires, Chato Jose Dawan Hayan, Rabu Mibice, Chime Don Yote Mendekyo, thank you, Bilenani, Shawa Mirilas. Ta Katu Katele ya Dewan Rabu, Shepon Rabu, Tensu, Yuachin, Trebu de Anichi, Dunhe Chambo, Mi Chime Kang, Nanichi, or Dunhe no Guki Shawa Yina, Anite Shawa the Tanda Chair Mares. Pelebaina, Commander Johnny Munda Tezirana, a Chele. Hamagona social Devandabu Europe, or Tendabo, Chet Jose Deva Tabanana, Drebu me you do, and a Hachang Dumheke, Tindi Shawat Chenchaya Mares. Belena Yelia, Toton Dabu Chebayana, Tachala saying Mulas or Tobayana, Katu Sosa Jupenjora, Chi Devan Dabu and how you read it, Drebu, and Drebu Dumhechin. 어때를 당아서 샤당 라달라서 세미 샤사여라 카투 대적이 샤사 바바 대적이 공무라 어떻게 대시가부지 우여르데 탄저부터 소주비게 저부 동에 두자 진조아 인상 아니 샤왕에 버터 마제스 샤미리라스 나미 노이체 카나마토와 메비 가델라 원슈빌레나 샤리데스 마음발에 저부터 동행 해봐 저부 zambo 야보 레바 표성 소바 텐디기 원신 중데 게 주테서 걸레 연하여 제거리스 샤와리데 총레스 전에 동해 진지게 철라 동해 메두나 모소다가 고통 디바치치 레메자스 저런 동해는 자기여라스 동해 문더라스 텐데 임바이나 저런래야 동해 아니 미용기 차도 아니 지 샤왕년바데 텔레야니 무슨 샤왕년바 좋아요 말라 연다가 못통이 꼬도요 샤왕년바데 마제스 데바체레 마제스 데바체레 미자스 키테 디비 레셰서 셰자롱테 최진이 꼬체랑테 트레셰죠 동을에 담은 키시 저런게 소초발아서바 데바미기 메가바데 저런 셰 차바이나다 단다 셰예바이나다 텐데 제바이나 저런 야 라운에 저송바이나 저사처럼 영화 타사 영화세 마음발에 디비긴 저부 동해때 저런 농거를 마도 동해때래 저사 타사 영화래서 갑사 이사 영화래서 담은 줬어 강도 내나 레지 민수비 사쇼때네 여바 많이 됐어 가바 되나야 레게니 대무용주 레게 안토 무슨이게 사요 말에서 사차 내리전전 아니 레 안토 로마서 요마 사쇼때네 여바 많이 바나라 요마 바나라 요마 자치 논전아야 페마를 레게 안토 추리스 리 로노치세스 리게 노반 준데나 페마리스 셰담 시바 히로 총왔다 달라 자기 셰바이 강연저부 차주 디체렌 쇼바시 시바 소소쇼 히로 메켄 나우추 메켄 대초게 소소레야 네신 소소 자나오지 조거스 세네야 소소 자이 땡겨 말했대 너 뒤에 데파 메겨와 지용도 아니 소소레야 내 하정그 첨부시네 소소기 장마마 소소 차겨스 강신 저부 차른 주의 디체렌쇼 저부 두자 저부 동행 주의길래 아니 디비기 샤바드 지기레스 간다 셰페 동주기 체메 동용 뭐예도 남이 소소 때바이 레트 타는 마제스 레스 텐데기 레냐바 체소 저부터니 다 간류사 센로 강녀시고요 미 체메 강 아니 뭐네 아니 지 동해 농기에서 남이 소소 때바이 레트 타는 마제 레스 텐데 이게 저부 동해 대초 게조 레냐바 단다 마제스 마제나 야레스 강시시나 메도시 가시 예니 대와 노미 소소테 레드 다 시나레스 저부 동해 문종아 저부 대와 가와 세시포 텐데긴 저부 잠부 중케 노미 잠부 용케테 노미 텐데긴 중케테 노미 소소 담바티 조 레테네 레게와테손 에니 제쇼 시나레스 가르레스나 다니 대wan 되비시레스 랑 대wan 되르사 동해 문데케라스 Gucci DP Leshibi Dility Namita Mugi Nasu Noan Chos. Rani gi Devan de Yorete, Anichi Saint Mugu Dantoson. Tendrik ang dipi gile shene dipi le ti gen rebu namhi tele ni namhi dunghe nyawa yida tondra la so bale shene ani ngoki chene dunghe nangu chagires teni dunghe mingi le da maje so ter shena dile teto nyaba tsögyo choba meje dibi le chen ro pari to ningo ban jos dipi ke lege katu jinga tsu chancha ke soso le zoba katu ma zobra tende na gen ge dipi ke le depa migi lege soso la hapte ka katu tsu nego mares ina ya dipi ke le ti ge rebu te so ge rowa te so le ya ne tse shema le ya tse shema pare to ro yi ko so le ti ge rebu ne dunga tin jong gores kanto teda namin tsawa soso teba dibi le chin rowa te pare to sheban jos oda tenri geshewa shemaliya ani drebu dunghe teso tsanye la soba tawne da tsanye la soba dunghe soso ya nongi koso ani dibi lege rowa la ya ani shewa shemaliya nongi tidi yin hakko gres sheban jos oda chale yani langjo ba langba deni tinisa de mata sheba rang leji ngin jos cha se ju ngaro cha chale ya ni chunda posen ni ya 咋叫呢？咋对家扩张呢？咋破呢？家扩张创了多多是？别电脑两百电的电力啥？家扩张把啥呢？家创了多的是？我别电脑应该马上做马达马这边的多呢，小娃年把借用的，人家说了呀，那呢，说小娃姐嘛，年中路，你娃一的蹲着路的是，写说是，但对把的解决下来，得蛮多的是，是蹲到几把的是，不穷娃拉是，这些。 가동 비게 이게 게히 포충와리야 아니 게 이게 가동 비게 아 캄발롬베스 콩lum베 게히 빠네렌데 코나 기차와 송발라 다다 히아바다 냐바도 고리메바 셰데 누코나 나소랑 가원 하송베스 아 포충와야 대출라 송바 당스 아니 포충와 게히 포충와리야 또롱비 게노 콩lum베게 가르소스 게히발라 대상 케파 게히 카게 렌데 코나 기차와네 송유어레스 게히 부충 다다 히아바다 냠바도 고리메 카게게 다데 렌데세데 최해 히리메케 내나야 내리요바 강자나 고리메바 시케 모모도스 다대처는 노소아레스 근데 코나 나서 랑 가온 하우송베스 다나 나서 랑바 이나 나리 가슈데 렌데 지송치아드레스 다 텐데 부충발이야 쇼용도 칸lum베 아니 게히 부충에 대출라 다가랑리라 세마소아레스 아다 가도미 게히니 부충바다 칸lum바니 거기 다가랑 렌데데 바 기첨부 임바 다 데깔레 가부 임바 어때송 코노 콩니 예바 튜바 다바 튜아레스 덤비 켄에서 덤바사던 론덤바 론덤바 제인조네 켄 조와 흰칸 체메롱 덴덴데 타 송바 조바스 조세던 알아 저희는 조조 세선나 조조스 아니 흰 첨부 마지아스 렌데야 흰 첨부 제네마 가주 모주 제오라면데 흰칸 체메로 덴데게 남자데 하장고 참르다스 렌데게 남자데 반제부 냠바 벤종우레스 덴데 사서 나고레스 결혼 부충 이케네스 나네 게카 전류라 칼해송 송바다스 다 게히 부충게 당아 게부레서 게칼에 돈전류야 니 렌데 거정조소 뭐 중아니나 같이 해줘래요 려고 중아지나 아니니 줄 될래야 지 렌데게 나자고 정조소로 어때 공게 돈전류야 아니 네게 파 로카데 텔파 자소모스 안 전류 렌데 정조소 이연 송거로 어때 대가 나긴 게 게시 샤라와 기시 상제지 내셔 지숑요 쇼메다 칼레라 레레 만데바 렌데시 벤데시 샤와 샤다 송송어스 어다 상제 정된 되게 가르소여서나 내셔 지숑 소소레야지 노 트사나다 션 차고 쟁이 랑 샤와 랑로 메바 아니 내나차 용와 라소바 덴데게 멜레바 ducha kare shon sumba yina ya ta nga tsu tuju a tari za nga kama ducha yinsa se tari nga rodi lang chu ma so za ka ngenba yinsa yang chi la ge ne yinsa yang lo ge ne yinsa zeng ge ne yinsa se ten lo wara wa sanje ge ten so ya ma se so so le ya kare chen cha go shon so na sho ngenba tang kalen la le ma de bas 대출은 받기만 렌드셰빈 데셔서 렌드셔발라 때는 아니 셔완 된다나 렌드셰네 드버 잠번 된다쇼 렌드셰네 아니 셔완 게만 된다고서 렌드게 꼴 총총 상제 존된데 송샤마토 아다 자다 까만 노샤 아니 지 하고 너샤 로고 너샤 쟁게 너샤 세텐데 촌 송문도 조 렌드를 투샤스 에 샤타 송송어 어서 왔대 다 디바도 저러지다
Lasso gila. Okay. So, okay. So here, the Gishla is just giving a little bit long teaching. So it is mentioned here that if you do not reject the wrongdoings in this way, you will experience the suffering. So no matter where you go, you will not free from it. Therefore, it is not sensible to engage in action that seems to bring happiness in a short term, and you have effect. You have yet have effect. You must endure with tear covering your face. So even if the happiness is for the short terms, like you shouldn't do that. Even if you are getting, if you, any actions or in any karmas, if you are doing it, it's giving you a short term happiness, you shouldn't perform such a this non-virtuous action or karma if even it is giving a short term happiness, because in the long term, in the future, you will get a huge suffering or huge losses for yourself. So Gishla given an example of like stealing. For the if a person steals something, if a person steals something from someone, and in the short term he may get a money or he may get a jewelry or something from that person due to his stealing, but in long term, in future, this action will give him a huge loss or a huge effect of suffering. So so it is that effect will be like the actions, whatever action you perform or karma you perform, the effect will definitely arise in the future. So you shouldn't do those non-virtuous action. So also in example, like when some person for due to their attachment to the meat or attachment to the skin of the animal skin, and they are like they kill the animal, they kill the birds, or they kill the animals like deers, or they kill the animals. So for due to their attachment, so what is the is in a temporary, you may get what you are attached, like you get a meat or you get the skin of the animal, but in the future, in the long terms, then you will in the futures you will get a suffering. So it is that if a person, so if you a person, therefore it is not sensible to it is mentioned here that therefore it is not sensible to engage in an action that seems to bring you happiness in a short term, yet have effect in a sensible to engage in action that yet have effect. You must endure with a tear coming in your face, that is show that in the long term it may give you a loss of suffering. On the other hand, it is sensible to engage in action that give you faultless happiness and delight when it sorry, delight when you experience the ripening of their effect. So here it is mentioned that opposite of it, if you do some even in the current situation, you are in the present moment, you are feeling so much hardship or doing something good, if you are engaging in some actions, good action, and you are having facing some hardship and suffering, but these actions of doing good will give a rise effect in a future you will get, it will give you a effect of the happiness. So wrapping the effect of the happiness of what virtuous deed action you have did. So this is like, if you are performing some good actions in a current term, then you will get the happiness in the future. And if you are performing the bad action, even you are getting a temporary or momentary happiness, but in the long term you have to face suffering. So here it is mentioned by now in a collective indicator of words is that if you fear suffering and you do not enjoy it, do not commit sinful action, and either in a public or private. So if you are like fear of suffering and you are not you don't and you are fear of suffering, you don't like a suffering, then don't commit any non-virtuous action. Don't commit it either in a public or in a private place. Don't commit it. You face it because in the long term, if you commit a non-virtuous action, then you are committing it. Then, because why it is because it mentioned that whether you have committed sinful action or committing them, you will not escape suffering, and even if you try to run away. So it is like you shouldn't commit either in the public and private. It is because if you commit some sinful or non-virtuous action, if you commit some non-virtuous action, what it is that you will never able to run away from that result of that action, because you have already performed the action. So you will, obviously you will get a result, so you cannot escape from the result, and no, the result will be suffering. So you cannot able to escape from result, and you have to face it. You have to face it. So there isn't any place, so no matter wherever you stay, where there's no place that karma is not created, neither in the sky nor in the ocean nor even in the places in mountain. So it is the you mentioned that you cannot escape from your whatever the action you perform. You cannot escape from the result that the action will give you. So there's no places, no matter wherever you stay, there's no places where your karma's effect will not be will not be ripened. So like even you stay in a neither even you are in a hiding in the sky or in the ocean, even it is in the ocean or even in the mountain where no one is there, still your action will the effects of your action will arrive ripen. So and also the childish who have a little wisdom act as enemy to themselves. Through this they perform a sinful action and their effect will become intense. So like a people small like the childish people, like people who doesn't differentiate between what is good and right, or who perform the non-virtuous state, the childish one who have a little wisdoms or differentiating between the good virtuous and non-virtuous, they perform the non-virtuous state. Mm, so they perform the non-virtuous state, and they perform the non-virtuous they are like they perform the non-virtuous, which is act as an enemy, which is give them a suffering to themselves, so which is an enemy to them. So this they perform non-virtuous state, and then that the performance of non-virtuous state will give them a huge intense suffering. The effect will be huge intense suffering. So you are good not to engage in such action that give rise to the such a torment. So one should not able to do such a non-virtuous trait and should perform some good virtuous trait instead of it. So one should stop themselves from doing non-virtuous. Kindly turn the page, I think. Okay. So whose effect you endure one by one, weeping your face covered with the tears. So okay. Not this one, I think. Okay. So whose effect you will endure one by one when weeping your face over to cover you, weeping like so when if you do some non-virtues, then you will have to face suffering. Then you can't able to escape. So you and when you were engaged with the you were good to engage in such action, then that do not rise to torment. Whose frustrations you undergo one by one and happily and joyful one. So opposite of it, if you do some virtuous action, then you will able to get a good results such as happiness, that you don't have to feel a suffering. So happiness and joyful mind. So they call it, okay. So it is said that even because you desire happiness and you are wild and have been sinful, you will cry while experiencing the fruition of such sin. Okay, and also, although sins will not necessarily cut you immediately like weapons, rebirth take through the sinful action will be evident in a future life. So here it is mentioned that even like non-virtuous state, in the non-virtuous, the result or effect of the non-virtuous actions or karma will not be rise immediately like a cutting by like a cutting like a weapons. When they shoot you, immediately you will die out. It is not like the result will come immediately, but the results of your actions will be rise in the next rebirth or in the future life. So it is evident that you will get you if you perform a non-virtuous deed, then you will get a effect. Such an effect will be rise in your future life. You have to face the circumstances of your actions. Okay, so sinful action will bring about lifetimes in the future, where the fruition of this action will be very intensified. So, so if you do some sinful action, then you have to face the results will be faced in faces even and also the even you want to run away, you can't able to. So it is that Okay, so it is that you the in your next life, the actions you perform in this life will create a effect and in harm you. If you are performing non-virtuous, then it will harm you in your future life. So just as a rust emerge on iron and feeds on that very iron, so too those who have committed actions without examination travel to miserable limb through their own action. So it is said that when a water are put on a iron, then what the iron will become is it got rusted, and the rust started to feed on iron, and then iron started to deteriorate it. So like that, it is said that when you perform or when you committed some non-virtuous actions, then when you are doing some non-virtuous action, like even without thinking or examining whether it is good for you or not, you are performing it, then you have to take away, you have to take rebirth in a rebirth and in a miserable realm, such as a hungry ghost or have hell or animal realms, because and you have to suffer, you have to face the sufferings of this because of your non-virtuous action. So here there's a Geshe Pujua Kalungpa said to Geshe Pujua that our teacher Geshe Domdemba said that only karmas and effect are important, but contemporary scholars do not value it as something to explain, listen it, or do not value it as something to explain, listen to, or meditate on. I wonder, is it the only practice that is difficult and Pujua like it is just go. So here it is mentioned that here that Geshe Pujua, Geshe Kulumba said to Geshe Pujua that our teachers, Geshe Tomdemba, has mentioned about the concept of these days the people like the concept of the karmas and effect is very important, but the contemporary scholars are focusing more on other things. And so it is like this practice of the karmas and effect is very difficult. Or then Pujuma reply, yes, it is as it is said, it is as it is said. Then Geshe Demba also said, oh follower of elders, great pretension is inappropriate, and that dependent arising is subtle. Pujuma says, as I grow older, I have turned my attention towards sutras of wise and foolish. Sharava says, the Buddha said that any fault or shortcoming that occurs are not due to some bad area or the building of new house, but are only arising such and such from done such and such on action. So here Geshe Domdemba has mentioned that my followers of elders means like elder gila de la chol choice me de atisha sung isa ra gila de Domdemba shel ne la sta tumbe shel ne cho ning cho la di gila
오 사드 조진 말해
mare.
조와 사드 맞아 조질에 나오고 말해
Yes.
조와 사드 말아서 보면 조조 생긴다 된다 그래
Oh, okay. So when Geshe Tomdemba says, "All followers or elders are great pretensions in appropriate," here Geshe Tomdemba has mentioned that okay, all the elder ones or senior ones, the being a pretension is being a pretension or pretending something is inappropriate, and this is dependent arising certain. So here says the concept of dependent arising, like concept of karmas and its action, is very subtle for one to understand. It is very subtle. So it is very subtle. So, and also Pujuma says, as I grow old, I have turned my attention towards the sutras of wise and foolish. So Geshe Pujuma says, so Geshe Pujuma said that the sutras of wise and foolish, when he just said Geshe Pujuma said the sutras of wise and foolish, he has drawn when he was grown older, he has drawn his attention to sutras of wise or foolish, because here in the sutras of wise or foolish, it is there's a mention about the concept of karmas and action, and there are about around around the 50 or 51 chapters of this text. These sutras are around 50 to 51 chapters where the concept is most there. The concept of karmas and its actions are mentioned. So when Geshe Tumdemba was saying, he said that dependent arising is very subtle. Said one should know that we should be careful when you are doing actions and effect, because the concept of actions and action is effect arising of effect is very subtle, that one can easily able to understand it. So we should be very subtle regarding this. And the Geshe Pujua has, when he got older, he has turned his interest or attention practice towards the sutras of wise or foolish, where the concept of karmas and action is mentioned. And then beside that, Sharawa said, Sharava said, the Buddha has said that any fault or shortcoming that occur do not due to some bad areas, or the building a new house, or that only arise due to such and such having done such and such. But so here Geshe Sharava has mentioned that the Buddha has never said or mentioned that any shortcoming or any sufferings you faces, or any suffering or any shortcomings or any problems you faces in your lives is not due to the not due to some of the like normal people say, like I was affected by some demigod, or I was affected by some nagas, or I'm ill because of the heart, because of the some magics or some mantras recite by some people, that I was got ill, or I was always suffering all this. Buddha never said that your sufferings or your fault or your shortcomings or your sufferings are not due to occur, not due to bad area, or due to the some due to the influence, or due to the due to the some due to the nagas or god, or due to some bad area, or due to due to some spells by the nagas or god, or due to spell by some other people. It is not due to that, but it is only due to your own action, because you are facing the suffering, you are facing the suffering, or you are facing the problems, or all this is your faults or shortcomings, your own faults or shortcomings is due to your own action, due to your previous action. You're having such an effect, you're facing all those effects. Now so
다 시켜봐도 차지 다 네발이 도게 정 유치들이 다 도게 정 유치사다 다 기첨부 나온 거 처벌에 당하러 주策划 토마 멤버네 단다게 봐도 데반데 사에 데반데 사메세 최송토요마 가르서는 마치 셔발이야 토마요 말아 다 셔발 토마 메사데 다다 지라소바다 다 텐데긴 담이 나초 이게 셔발랑요 텐데 셔발랑 비콜이야 나초 연 산체소 제와라소바 다 담이 나초 치는 거라 어 텐데 이제 샤왕 하마는 나초 데파몽보 사열 다 단다 챈들이나요 단다 촌촌권에 단다게 봤던 나초 데파 몸부지 사열해서 텐데 이제 다 데파트에서 사차래 다 데파 사차디 데파트 냐 사이 민셀로서요 말이 다 데파트 다 가르쳐 그래서는 다 데파데 란자 자바인다 티 디피긴 제보 제말이야 냐와이다 던들라서 시아기 땡키들 근데 인데 다 데파데 냐와이다 던들 단다시요 말때 메시 단다시 메 인상 딱 말아서 코코 가려요래서 아니 디파데 냠보 토기 가네 아니 디파데 파 장구 요래서 다 냠보 토기 가네 데파데 샤동 제바이나 아니 데파데 자와네 메바차 말아서 텔레나 현카는 바타와고 선세그라다 사변 주사송나니 권저부터 도시기 말아 대나오게 디파트 소파 니파 메케 사변 주파 나오기 봐서 에스 바티 조알데니 가르거서나 또 이세디 거 어또 다또이 그야인다 단데나마 대다 다 디파 샤주 요바데 디피기 요데레 샤다 디파리 요데 요마레데 야 샤당 제바이나 다주 요바데 디피기 요 지요데서나라 체춘라비지 자거로 오데 근데 얘들 다 단데나 맞죠가 받지를 가르송서 대다 니셔치 마교 발람 배장 밤에 봐도 너무 마라수비 엉게 내바쇼나 치면나 바자토므로 예스 방아라서 방분이 대파 천에 지하요 말해서 대파 천에 소소소 거주해요 말해서 계시 소소 밤에 비 너무 많이 엉게 어찌고 그 대파 대파 사쇼로 그래서 계시 사쇼송 바이나 아니 대가랑 다 나오면 돈이 자요 뭐 치면 나봐서도 나오면 돈이 자요 말해서 자토므로 예 담바 투지 첸지 시주비 토송바 나란 베게소 담바 로아나라 제와 쳔보 여ken게 선지 존된데 나라는 소래야 데바데 파 샤비게 톱 시주 송여레 송바나라 텔베츠 제그레서 다 대양 동아 시주 수네스 동바송 소소니 송바타 샤라서 다 동아 시주 세든 아주 기츠다 gelung 대추이나 아니 기츠게 시주 아니 gelung 시주서 때 소종다 소니 제고요 다 나오게 아니 상주 셈비기 동바이나 상주 셈비 동비기 텔레 시추치야요. 테네 상하 동바기 시추테서 치야요. 벨레나 다랑 살이야. 네 소종 초피 거래야. 다 상추 생비 동박의 시추 상하게 동박의 단계에 동화대를 시추 제결 근데 동바소 소소네 송바다 샤라 세테 송거 아 디파데 시추바 된서 또예샤 디파 답이 타오데 아니 가르쳐서 너무 또이 땡기래 손 또예샤 데스 와나 너무 또이 땡비게 콩 가르여서 나랑서 다 넘버 상제바 인신체래야 야 콩도사데 상제 존된데게 까차만 두고마도 상제 존된데게 까려야 송매주지 아니 제바 있나 대처도 미팅 받잖아요. 근데 넘버 또이게서한테 상제 존된데게 송여래 요마스 송여래스 다너 가르를 소여서는 최기 때문에 돌레스 샹바스 상제게 마 지지 샹방 거면 송도 샹바 장주 삼바 전부 최이단 되는 대파 시기 사바 세진나반 조로스 장주 삼바 전부 대수 최이 나서 남바이나 대파 시스 대파 사 산주 대수 아니 세진나님 님바 메켜서 투레스 다 이게 가르르잖아 대타테 넘버 순지바 근도 쇼바 도다지 nembo kundu shobada ni nepal dopa tasa nepal ha dobi to sun tenchi to so se tenchi to ta tigide hisun tes o ta teta bu nembo to ye sa tengader o ter na ta hisun te shekhi sapile ni nyonge imbe tesichi ni na asir den depa shekhi sapa sichi ni sun to shekhi sapa sa de le ge nyonge se ta shetane shesa nika tsangke le te rebote jama noa sosu ge nami noa tenki sarata 이나야 nembotogi yapu chi shadong cheba ina nongi ge leta ya nipa meke sotu res te sotu ba ina ane chi sala le shela saba shela masaba sala majeba shesa nika matsa tende ge leta so da ane ko nipa meke zoa da ane tachi mes ajang jang res oti mangi tachi tela to tambo ne sa ta to tambo tende ndo khora ndo yija cheba ina 데이터 넘버 순지바 균도시비도 세테렌도 토마메바니 미기 레셰바 조파마인데스 넘버 순지바서 소소기 디파트에서 사이즈 돼서 야 제네 텔린 조파지야들 조파 당하라서 샤와 가레나 샤와 뉴트리체 제소나 텔린 조파시기라 어 근데 이데 조파지 그래서 다 디파레 조파 하 시찬조기 디파트에서 조파 마한테 조파 몸 지그스 데샤와라 나미수진 저부 셰츠 공구소스 다 데파 셰바텔은 조바 셰와라 조바 아니 저부 두자 저부 동행 조와레 상동거마도 현 조바 셰르 지금 말아 벨레나 소수게 세당 윤잡지 라소바이나 조바 페셰기라 가르사 세당 윤도서 ren탕 cham보체 소소레야 주변조 아니 야부 요거라 다 된대기 하면 전에 먹고 세다 뉘래야 ren탕 여바 전에 하 먹고 김치래야 네 세라서 바이나 네 되네 되래야 살래야 미세 내요 말이 가서 동해요 말이 세치 라서 바이나 되래야 가초 요 말이 세게 여태 하고 말아 세래야지 ren탕 하 먹고 인데 된대 소자 디파세 텔레야 저부 동해 진조고 여바 하 고고르스 저부 동해 첨분 조고 여 하고요인데 다 디파사 텔레 저센셔 당에 빼사송 당에 텔레나 미치게 꼬마 첨부지 저바이나 당에 꼬마 저 나촌콘 추그레 빼사서 저 롬바 텔레야 촌콘이야 주니 팅 차바 치부체 이루 롬바지나 근데 꼬마 담부 꼬마 저 사이즈는 콘조바 쉐이다 당에 빼사송 고마 자사서 당가 전권 주고 빼사서 전 줘봐셔 대나기 전권은 추야다 전권은 체바 간도 유메 대서 하고 봐이나 아니 고마 자발이 저 차나 된 줘봐시 아니 제마 고마 맞아 된지라 빼때 나긴 게 마랑 쪽에 랭님비긴 제부테 야포 산에 돈에 어디 당바이나 당에 랭님 받아 사사서 빼사서 되는 줘봐시 이래서 되는 마음발에 대바트 제기 말해서 대셔 나미 수진 저부송 어다 나미 진저부 다비 저부 주tin 진저부송 시치 리아 아니 상통그레스 라도 렘비세 세 담비 샤바 사제 소미 고니치 샤바 니치 샤오스 다 세에 담비 kin도 tel야 아니 샤필레오스 저러 따테노기 치체도 선도 그래서 되네 상제 소미 고니치 샤바 니 샤오스 다 통샤를 알아서 되지 동아 샤바스 对的Lama Atisha 상제 쳐서 게 담바 정티가 저제 배저 하자 도바다 샤츠 디와 도진이 버서도 저거 샤츠 되는마 동샤요 어 동샤 상제 손이 거니 샤바니 지샤오 어서다 샤동 된지 제그레스 어데레 다 디바 지주나
Oh, last regular. Okay. It's fine. Okay. So, mm. So now we completed with the concept of in regarding so how you engage in a virtue and turn away from non-virtue after you have reflected on karma and its effect in a general way. So we have completed with the from the under the topic of the in the topic of cultivation of ethical behavior in the section we have completed a subtopic of general explanation, which is important one. Now we come with the concept, the particular one. In terms of particular one, how we can we can able to like remove the how we can able to purify from our non-virtuous state in a particular way, which is important section in this karmas and effect. So it is in a we come in this particular section in a subtopic of the particular way. In a particular way, the way of purification is done. A purification of non-virtuous deeds can be done through the four powers. So here it is mentioned regarding that when you are talking about the four powers are in the power of eradication, the power applying remedies, the power turning away from fault, and power of the foundation. So this section is describe or give a teaching on the concept of the four powers. So when you are so though you make a great effort not to be defiled by wrongdoing, a fall may arise due to such things as a carelessness or preponderance kindly to on the beach of affliction. So Lama Tsongkhapa has mentioned that even you try to like sometimes even you don't want, you have not done, you are like intentionally you are not doing any non-virtuous trait, or you are not doing any non-virtuous activity action, but it may like sometimes it may by mistake or by carelessness you may perform it. So in a carelessness or you may perform it. So you okay so you may perform it. So if such things happen, Lama Tsongkhapa has mentioned, if such things happens to you, and it is inappropriate to disregard them without caring, and so you must try to apply the remedy without about which is compassionate teacher spoke. So you should apply the remedies to how to cure those, how to purify those non-virtuous deeds. You should apply the remedies, the four powers to these four powers to you have to apply these four powers, or you have to apply the remedy or antidotes to remove those non actions to not to gripe the seeds of those actions. So here Geshe has mentioned that. Okay, so like we have performed many non-virtuous deeds in the previous life. We have taken so many births as either in an animal like a tiger or leopard or any other carnivorous animal. So we where we perform so many wrongdoings. But at the present times, at the current times, you are born as a human. You are born as a human, not only a human with a leisure and opportunity one. So you are a human who can think, who can be intellectual. So your birth, so you have taken a birth as a human. So when you have now at time you can able to think, that you shouldn't able to take birth. You have a power, you have ability to not to take birth in the next birth as either in miserable realm, miserable realm by practicing dharma and through applying the antidotes to the non-virtuous state antidotes. So you can apply the four powers to four remedy, four powers through which you can able to purify your sin or purify your non-virtuous action. So normally when we are talking about these things, the sins or non-virtuous action, we normally don't consider they have any special characteristics or special characters or they, but in any particular characters, but even it is like such, but in terms like the this one thing is the one characteristic it is that the concept is sin can be purified. Like sin, there's a character of a purification of sin. Individual sin can be purified, and it is a particular character of the sin because it can be purified. So even if you perform like even at the beginning, if you are not by carelessness or by the carelessly you are performing some non-virtuous deed, or if you have performed some sin, even carelessly, even without your unintentionally you are performing it, you can purify it. So you can see in Dharamshala, the people are like they are monks and novice monks and nuns. They can fully ordained and semi-ordained monks and like fully ordained monks and nuns, or the novice monks and nuns. They can also, they are like performing they are performing purification performance. So in Dharamshala you can see that they are like you can one can purify, or one can put a remedies or remedies to purify your sins or purify your non-virtuous action. So they are like where you can purify your bodhisattva vows, or you can also purify some your tantric vows. So now in regard to how to remedy the any infractions, or do as it is explained in the context of three vows. Three vows consider as bodhisattva vows, ordinary or novice vows, or tantric vows. How can you, in the context of three vows, however you should remedy sins through the four powers. So how can be this remedy or purification can happen for like for the, if you have ever like breached the three vows, or if you have ever gila domba sum nan nan di kang la sum gyo di domba sum de changsu sembe domba sanga gi domba ani direra gila
사타크도.
total ki tomba tira. Okay. So
그래서
in the context of three vows, which are Pradimoksha vow, Bodhisattva vows, or Tantric vows. So when you are talking about this, when you breach some of the vows, and how can you purify those and perform some sin? How can you purify or remedy or purify those sins? Is through the purification through or remedy through the four powers. So the sutra also giving of four teachings is a Chatur Dharma Nirdesha Sutra. It is said that Buddha have given teachings, and Buddha has mentioned to the Maitreya, if Bodhisattva, the great heroes, possess these four teachings, then they will overcome any sins, and that they have committed accumulated. What are the four? They are the power eradication, power applying remedies, power turning away from fault, or power foundation. So normally when you are talking about it, it is said that whenever like whenever you are analyzing anything about the karmas when you are analyzing about the karmas in action, or can that non-virtuous karma can be purified or not, or is there any remedy or not? So how can we know about it? Is like through the validness. How can the validity of this thing can be known through the by considering the validity of the Buddha's teaching. If the Buddha's teaching is a valid teaching, then it can be like through the considering Buddha's teachings are valid, you can able to know that this no this non-virtuous actions or sinful action can be purified, or can be applied remedy to overcome those things, or to purify those things. So by the accepting the validness of the teachings of the Buddha. So because so there it is that here it's mentioned that you so like Maitreya, when Buddha was giving teaching to Maitreya, it just said like, how one individual can overcome any sins he has committed accumulated. Then Buddha has mentioned there are four. Then what are these four? These are the four through which the sin can be purified. These four are the power of eradications, power of applying remedies, just okay, power eradication of power applying remedies, power turning away from fault, or power of foundation. So these are the four. So you will definitely experience the result of karma that you have done and accumulated. Since the four power can describe this kind of karma, therefore before it takes effect, it goes without saying the other power, say the power can destroy karma whose result is indefinite. So here it's mentioned that even though like there are some karmas which the result can be like, we have already discussed about this in previous classes, that Gishla has given teaching on this, that there are some karmas which effects can be definitely be arise, a definite experience of the karmas. If you accumulate such karma, the effect will definitely experience. But however, like through this, if you apply through these four powers, the individual can destroy such karmas before it takes into effect. So For it means that if a seed, if a karma, like if you have able to apply these four powers for the purification, then you can able, before the karma is given effect, this karma can be destroyed. This karma can be destroyed. The result cannot be arise. So it is when it is like when the seed, and when the seed is just when the seed is ruined, or when the seed is ruined, when the flower seed is got ruined, or it cannot able to give, it cannot able to convert or turn into the flower, because the seed is already ruined one. So like such things, when a karma is already destroyed, by the four powers, then karma cannot able to give a rise to the effect. So when the karmas which effects are definitely arise or definitely experience, such a karma can be destroyed by four powers. You don't have to mention about those karmas whose result is indefinite, like whether it is arise or not, it is indefinite. So like you don't have to talk about regarding this thing, because it is already shown that karmas with a definite result, such a karma can be purified. Then the other karmas can be, obviously it can be purified, like results are indefinite. Those karmas whose results are indefinite can be purified. So what are the four powers? First is the power of eradication. The first power is a great contrition for having done non-virtuous action since beginner's time. In order to feel this, it is necessary to meditate on the way in which you produce the three effects of action, fruition, and so forth. At the time of putting this into practice, do so by the way of two methods: confession of sin in the confession of golden light, Surpass Sutra, and the confession of the sin by the way of 35 Buddhas. So here it is said that firstly is the power of eradication. So Hmm. Okay, firstly, it is that whenever you do some action, non-virtuous action, it is like you have to feel a regret of what you have done. Like a non-virtuous action, you have feel of an, you have to like it is what you have done is an, you have to be regret, or you should be feel regretful for whatever what the sin you have performed. So that is okay, and how you will feel regretted is through that thinking about that in order to feel this knowledge is like the power great contribution having done. So when you how you can feel the regret is through the you can feel the regret is how you can think about like such a karma. If I perform such a karma, such a karma will give us a huge suffering. The effect of such a karma will give you a huge suffering. Then you by thinking of this, you can feel a regret on this. For example, actually, I give you an example that a person who know or who understand the value of the gold or silver, that person, if he lost that gold or silver, any silver earrings or silver things or gold thing, then he will feel very regret, or very he will feel very sad about it, because he lost it, because he know the value of it. So also like a person who got a punishment, who got a severe punishment by stealing, he knows that if he steal again, he will feel that he will go under the same punishment, that he will stop doing such a punishment, stop doing stealing, because he know the consequences of it. And also the person who values the gold and silver, they know the value of it, and if it lost it, they feel a severe sadness. So when the person knows about these things, then people will not do such thing, or people will preserve their things. So if a stealing person will not perform his action of stealing again, because he know the result or consequences of it is a severe punishment. So such as this, the person who knows about the suffering, who knows that what is the effect of this sinful action, if he now started to know that the effect of your non-virtuous deeds give a huge suffering, then that person feel regretted of doing it, and he will not perform he will not perform a non-virtuous actions again. So you should be regret, or you should be no you should feel a regret of not doing it, feel a regret and not to do it. At the time of putting this into practice, do so by way of two methods. So when you are like how you can perform this duty, power of eradication, how you can perform is through the two methods: either by the confession of sin in the sutras of golden light, either by you should confess your sin which is mentioned in the Sutras of Golden Night, Sorana Prabhasha Sutra, or either by the confession of your own sin by the way of 35 Buddhas, So we are like when we can do the confession of sin by the way of reciting the prayers towards the 35 Buddhas. So with this through these things, we can able to power to eradicate. We can able to perform this power of eradication. Now, gila chasu.
Yeah, that any don't never that don't never.
디길라 차설에 디지 당부 심도 디길라야 디 망부이 디 거쳐 디길라 디 파워 톱니바디
So that mobile, Nijaime.
길라 데바치야 길라 디 투 강자 길라
Two
데
the
땅샤라
dedication. Don't
라
never do your essay, to the Tankachi Jai.
야야 길라 레레
Don't never lay a Nishata, don't never said, a little tumble the Tandan Saswa.
나
Number Sujibato, that Nyambukun to Shaba said, don't never Nyambukun to should be tos. That Nyambukun should be tos the Kodechabayina, Depa Tabi Gicheto, Giva Juba Township, the Nyambukun should be tori. Depa Tabi Cheto, Chopapi, Depa Tabi Cheto, Shatset, Depa Tabi Cheto, Korako, Depa Tabi Cheto, Gancho, Depa Tabi Cheto, Toningon, Depa Tabi Cheto, or Ijata, Maneta, Tonshan de las. Soba Kandacha, Depa Tabi Gicheto, Giva Yonsu, Giva Juba Yonsu Zobate, and Nambukun should be tos, eteri. Ta Yinaya Tandage, Papa Tome Gesuno, Tini Tutsier, number. To never tell her. Or tender churches that tender water change.
Rasugila, Papa Tomi Sungra. Okay, so here, due to the limited of time, it is already covered. So Gishla, just give a brief information, brief teaching on about the second remedy. So the detail will be going in, will be continue in the next class. So the second remedy is the power applying. The second power is this power applying remedy. So here, what is this power applying remedy means? Like to purify your sin, one individual is any activity one individual perform for the purification of your sin is considered as a power applying remedy, such as offering towards the Buddhas or Bodhisattvas, or meditating or reciting mantras, or reciting the purification mantras, or reciting the compassionate Buddha's mantras, or any virtuous performance, any virtuous deed you perform for the purification of your or your non-virtuous deed, or purification of your sin, it is considered as a power of applying remedy. So Arya Asanka, he has mentioned there are 6 sections regarding the concept of the purification of the in terms of the six sections in terms of the power of applying the remedies. There are 6 sections Arya Asanka has mentioned. So we will stop here in this today's class. We will conclude till here. We will stop till here.
Oh, yeah, Nitisha.
So Kishla will conclude this today's session till here.
Alright, thank you, Gishla. So we start off with our prayers after teachings. This ground is adorned with perfume, strewn with flowers, Mount Meru, 4 continents, sun and moon, visualizing as a Buddha, feel I offered it so that all beings may enjoy this pure rhyme. Idam Guru Rana Mandala Kam Naryatayami. In the snowy mountain paradise, you're the source of good and happiness, powerful Tenzin Gyatso Chenrizi. May you stay until samsara ends. Praying for our teachers' perfect health, praying for our teachers' teachers' life, praying that their words will grow and spread. Bless me never to part from them. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of Guru Buddha, so that I am able to bring all beings to this enlightened state. May the precious Bodhi mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. Just as the blessed Buddhas of the past are dedicated, just as blessed Buddhas presently existing is dedicating, just as blessed Buddhas of the future will dedicate, I also humbly learn, follow, and dedicate likewise. In regions where the Supreme Precious Dharma has not spread, or where it has spread but then declined, may I emulate the treasure of happiness and benefit with a mind deeply moved by great compassion. May anyone who merely sees, remembers, hears, remembers, touches, or talks to me be freed in that very instant from all sufferings and abide in happiness forever. For as long as space endures, and for as long as living beings remain, until then may I too abide to dispel the misery of the world. May I be a protector for those without one, a guide for all travelers on the way. May I be a bridge, a boat, and a ship for all who wish to cross the waters. O venerable, compassionate gurus, we see your blessings that all karmic debts, obstacles, and sufferings of mother sentient beings may without exception ripen upon us right now. May we give our happiness and virtues to others and thereby invest all beings in bliss. Right, over to Gisela for dedication.
gila ngwan tin lo chi.
la so ya ya da ye lu nga ye zong long shu tu so ge so re che men re song bo kyu song chi bi cho che ba le ye lang ne la ma ye dang kyu cho song la tu jiang ge ge ne da la xin je lo do e dang gu ro men de la ge ne ya da ya me ka re re yi ko yi ma so pe na de wa ma lin ju shi re zong den ji ja se sha be se de ba den jo je de na ji se la ma tu je che ma jun ru yi de de do ma lin da 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 la mi ba da ge de ge ge rōgī tētā tāmbā shīngyā lā tēnā chītsē lāmbā tōchī mācchān rō yī tērī tō mālī tātā tālā mīwa dāgī tēngyā rōgī tētā tāmbā shīngyā lā tēnā chītsē lāmbā tōchī mācchān rō yī tērī tō mālī tātā tālā mīwa dāgī tēngyā rōgī tētā tāmbā shīngyā lō kānsā shabā mālī chū xie xie cāng chū tē xie sō chū chā mē chū nē lā pā pā sō pī pā shīn sō pā shīngyā lō shāng chū sāng chū rāmbā chā mā shabā nā shabā nā mā mā kō nē kō pā wā shō pā mā sāng chā tāng chī tē tā tē ngiān chō tāng chā tā tō shāng chū sāng bā kāng tā sō tē tā kio chē mā lāng chū chū chi dāmbā lā nā mī pī dāmbā dā njī wān tē rā lā mī tī pī gyā wān tē āng rō mā xē nē dāmbā nzī pī jō rō ngō lā sō yā
Yeah.
Gila
Dujiche, Gisela. Dujiche.
lā sō
Yeah.
lā sō
So can we invite Gisela and Minkila to leave the platform first?
Okay.
Yeah.
Gila pena digire sung sung gila.
yā lā sō
So good. Now gila. Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you for attending the teaching. I will stop the platform now.